about being cool and bespoke. It's everything's different we do. It's about being unique. It's not something the guy next door's got what they're going to find anywhere else.
We tend to use odd bikes. Sometimes we go for particularly ugly bikes. Sometimes we go for a nice looking bike. But at the end of the day, we try and make them slightly different without turning them into something stupid.
Yeah, we like to have a little bit different. It's if you're doing the same thing day in, day out, I don't want to get out of bed in the morning. It's just not what I want to
do. Birmingham, England, once an industrial heartland, now the home of a small team that are making a big noise in custom bikes. Britain's motorcycle big name heritage may be history, but in tiny backwaters there's still unique, radical motorcycle engineering to be found.
I've always done architectural fabrication, staircases, water features, that sort of stuff, and unfortunately my father got cancer, and just before he died he said to me, what are you doing, pissing around, do something you love, life's far too short. So I just thought I'd start building some bikes, and that's where we are today, and that was sort of 4.5 years ago.
I've been building bikes for 30 odd years now, and then I bumped into Neil at a bike show and asked him could he do a tail unit on a particular bike for me, which he said he could. So I came down here, we got on really well, we did a load of work together, and it just sort of blossomed from there, if you like. We just ended up doing loads of bits and pieces together, and to be honest, we've done really well.
We just get along really well, we sort of gel together, we're very like-minded. If I've got a problem I can't solve, then normally I talk to Jim and Jim can solve it, and vice versa. If Jim has got a little problem I can help him with, help him as well. And we just find that we work really, really well together. It's really important that you have a laugh at a joke and that you're sort of friendly, because if it's all too serious, it's just all too serious, and life isn't really that serious. It shouldn't be that serious. So yeah, I think a laugh and a joke is great, and me and Jim just tend to laugh and joke most of the time.
So this is for American bikes, choppers, bobbers.
Get off a sleeve.
Hipsters staff sleeves, don't they?
Yeah.
What about the British bikes? What are you going to wear for
British bikes? I think tweeds and a pipe. Maybe a deerstalker.
Deerstalker.
Yeah. And yeah, just curmudgeon our way around the place. Yes, I don't think I like what you're doing to that. Brilliant.
Sleeve.
Early morning at Made in Metal, and the boys are setting up for a day of British bike restoration. Jim's arrived with a real relic in the back of his van.
You sure you want to see this?
Oh wow, right.
It's 1929 BSA.
Oh, sloper.
Yeah, it's sort of pre-sloper. The slopers are the 500s, but it's the 350.
This is the 350.
350, yeah, it's just a piece of junk.
Right. Can we get it in?
Yeah, let's get it in. Personally, I just love British bikes. I love the fact they don't work, I love the fact they don't handle, I like the fact that the brakes don't work, the lights don't work, they leak oil. I can sort the oil leaks out by not putting oil in them, but ultimately, I just love them. They've got soul, they've got character. And Japanese bikes, as good as they are, and BMWs are the same, they're absolutely faultless. British bikes are just junk, but it's my kind of junk. The ultimate project for me would definitely be a Norvin. It's just a bike of my childhood. It's what Ogre used to ride from the magazine, and it would have twofold effect. It would piss off the Vincent purists and the Norton purists, and I would do a good job of it. We do a good job of bikes here anyway, and bikes we do end up winning shows. And joking aside, we do tend to really knuckle down and get a really good job out, and at the end of the day it's up to the punter then to say, well, it's worth destroying two classics, which I'm quite happy with.
You take one valuable Norton, remove the engine, an even more expensive 50s Vincent, discard the frame. A bit of welding later, you have a priceless V-twin in a legendary featherbed frame. Voila, a Norvin, and Jim would love one.
If I just slice it through there,
Yeah, best you can, and then we can dress it up and then...
Yeah, and then trim the other one down to the right then.
Because of the current situation with British bikes, everybody seems to want to bring them back to standard because they think they're going up in value, whereas I'm not really interested in that, and Vincents are the same. So you're talking very expensive bikes, so a rough Vincent would be £26,000, and people would spend their lifeblood and trying to get it back to standard. And for me, a standard bike is one that's never been touched ever. I'm just looking at it from my point of view. If I build a bike, I want to ride it. I don't want to mess about and just wheel it to shows and all the rest of it. It's got to work. If it doesn't work, it's pointless doing it. You've got to be able to ride the thing.
Another of today's jobs is a BSA Gold Star, the 60s racing legend. These fast but fickle thoroughbreds, they do have a tendency to fall off their stands and damage themselves. Never shy of the grinder and a welding torch, Neil and Jim have a solution.
What we do with the British bikes is, because they're so unreliable, because they don't work, we try and get them to look exactly the same as they should have done, but with all modern technology. But we're trying to keep this one as traditional as possible. And as you can see, it's nut and bolt perfect. That'll be fine, that, Neil.
It's not leaning over enough, is it?
Yeah, of course it is.
You sure?
Yeah, there's play on that.
There isn't. Where is it?
Ooh, sweet music, the purr of a classic. The team are happy, it's a day well spent, so it's off to the local pub to wind down over a pint and a song.
Top of my head, there is nothing.
I know there is nothing.
I've been thinking, I think we should do a 70s, a proper old school 70s chopper.
I'd love to do a 70s chopper.
But real, you know, with a little peanut tank.
Oh,
Yeah.
no,
Sit
a
like-
proper prismic tank.
Prismic?
No,
Like a coffee?
Prismic,
No,
I think we should look at what's the last thing we should do.
No.
The last thing we should do. What would you, if you were going to pick the ugliest bike to try and make good? What would you pick?
What about a CX500?
Yeah. Ugly.
Square box engine.
Yeah,
With a
I'd go out with
sidecar
him.
and a bubble top.
While we're talking about big square engines, how about
Flying brick. Flying brick.
Anything German.
Flying brick.
Anything
Series
German.
BMW.
A what?
What?
K Series BMW.
Yeah, the flying brick.
Flying brick.
Is that what a flying brick is?
Hideous. Hideous. They did a 3-cylinder and a 4-cylinder.
Look at the engine, it looks like a flying brick.
It is.
Because it is a brick.
It is a brick.
What would you wouldn't want to...
But I've got to say, you got me
But
thinking.
it's just a great. No,
There's nothing you want to... There's nothing you can do on them, Boomer. They're just...
No.
They're not pretty. They're not pretty.
I had this pile of basically rubbish in the garage, and I've seen Neil build some bikes before, and was thinking, well, let's see what I can do with this. He's done some really tasty ones. Try this one for size.
A couple of days later, lo and behold, one of our regular customers turns up with. He came on his bike and he said, I've got another bike on the way for you to build and look at. This bike you've got, what do you want me to do with it?
Do we? Fix it?
Well, do what with it, you know? Cause
You know what we spoke about in the pub?
we've spoken about all sorts of things in the pub.
Yeah, I know. But this one's here.
All right, okay. So,
All right.
I'm still a bit confused what I'm to do with it, you know?
Well, freehand.
Just, well, okay.
We spoke about it. You know what we like.
Didn't say what it was, and then just before he left, actually, the van turned up. We opened the back, and there's just a van full of what can only be described as spare parts, scrap.
What do you want me to do with that, Boom?
Turn it into a piece of art.
I don't know what to say
It's there, and I've got to get off, cook.
You're just going to go and leave me to it, that's it?
Yeah, we'll speak, but we don't, you know.
Well, okay. Okay.
There you go. Your first flying brick.
There's more than one bike here for sure. There's a lot of stuff in there. Swing arm, drive shaft. So everything's there, I think, by the look of it, at first glance. That's a big ask, that is. There's an awful lot to do there. We can do it, but I'm not sure how much it's going to cost, how long it's going to take to do it.
There's an old adage: never buy a bike in bits, because there's always a major part that isn't there, no matter how much you know about them.
We were joking about in the pub the other night, and all joking apart.
Well, it's backfired now, hasn't it?
just a little bit, you know.
Our bluff has been called.
I don't know where you can start with that.
I suppose we'll have to start somewhere.
Should we start by getting out of the van?
Yeah, I think we should.
When he rocks up with it in the back of the van, we open the back of the van, I really, I was kind of shocked actually that he brought that to us in such a state, because Boomer's seen a few of the jobs that we've done, and that's the first time we built a bike from a pile of bits, isn't it? We normally get a full bike and then we make it into a pile of bits.
I think somebody's piled into the back of the van, and that's what's left. We can't use.
Will you stop moaning?
You can't use plane crash, can you? It looks like a train crash thing.
Be careful what you wish for, that's the phrase. The joking at the pub over the ugliest bike in the world has clearly backfired, and Neil's pal Boomer has called their bluff by delivering the boys the wrecks of not one, but 2 K-Series Beamers in a million pieces. Local man Boomer is confident the team can make something great from the pile of bits, and he's put his money where his mouth is. Jim's not taking it lying down though.
A K100 is possibly one of the ugliest bikes that's ever been built. When we're talking ugly now, we're talking it's fallen out the top of the ugly tree and hit his face on every branch going down, whilst being on fire and put out with a man with a spade. BMWs, they've just cornered the market on ugly.
BMW's 1000cc K100 was nothing short of a revolution when it was launched in the 80s, breaking away from the flat twin layout that had served the company for 50 years. Purists were enraged! They didn't think that it was a proper Beamer, and the rest of us, well, we just thought it was a big fat ugly BMW. But it was quick, and boy was it built to last, with its 4-cylinder engine bizarrely laid on its side in the frame, hence the nickname, the Flying Brick.
I think we've really bitten off more than we can chew with this thing. It's not worth 10 or 15 grand, Donny. It's worth 5 grand.
Yeah.
Because it's whatever way you cut it, it's
still a BMW.
It's a BMW.
Yeah.
And they're 2 a penny, and the ones that are there are in standard condition.
You'd be much better off obviously starting with a complete bike that you rode in rather than being brought down a bit to the back of the van.
You don't want to go halfway down a road, money-wise and work-wise, just to basically end up doing nothing with it.
It's not ideal, Jim, but we've got no choice. We've got to do what we've got to do with it, you know.
I think if this was a pudding, it'd be an eaten mess.
This is where the laughing stops. Starting at the bottom of the pile, Neil and Jim sort the parts to build the standard bike up before disassembling it again.
If we just get rid of all the superfluous nonsense.
So we take
With the wire.
everything off it, get the airbox off it, get all these pipes off it, get all the cabin off it, get the injectors
Yeah, we'll
clean.
have to replace it.
Just the wires off the injectors, not put taking the injectors out, is there?
No.
Get all those ripped off it.
Yeah.
And then
Just give it a good clean in the
give it a good
paint.
clean. Attack it with a wire brush, I think.
Yeah.
Getting all the little nooks and
Degrease
crannies, all the
it.
little grooves and stuff.
Yeah, the beauty of these bikes as opposed to Japanese ones, that even though they're sort of 10, 15 years old, you never get stripped threads, you never get welded in joints, everything's so well made.
This is 23 years old now.
Yeah, well, it'll strip down brilliantly. Okay. If you start with a pile of bits, then really what we're doing, then we have to build it, and then in the building process or the reassembling process, we realise what we don't want. And to be honest, I felt it helped us in a way,
okay.
because as we were assembling it, we realised we didn't need the bits that we had, and then we could easily just not put them back on again. And it was the reverse of how we normally do it, which is to take a full bike and then take bits off and then put them back on again. Yeah. Because we did it the way it turned out, we had to assemble it, and in that assembly process we could work out very quickly how it bolted together.
Yeah, I never thought of that.
Yeah, but it's, well, you wouldn't.
What would you want to make an exhaust?
Well, if you just check it, that's 28 inches to there, and then it's probably about another. It's actually grown. It's about 23 inches. So what's
23,
that?
that's 51.
51 inches. And I'm just thinking about this. That's 5 inches.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering whether it'll fit without cutting it.
We're not going to use that, Jim. We're making one.
We'll put that in the bin.
Oh, I see.
I think we're going to have to cut. We're going to have to cut about 25 inches before the bin man will take it, because the lid has to be firm on there.
Well,
Seat.
we threw away the seats, the rear seat unit, all the fairing,
Footrests.
all the footrests, yeah, wiring,
Lights, indicators,
yeah,
mudguard,
exhaust.
Cuddly toy.
Now you may remember that Jim predicted this.
There's an old adage, never buy a bike in bits, because there's always a major part that isn't there.
Well, he was right. The original front forks were missing, and custom replacements would take the job way over budget. So, Neil sets off on a mission to find 20-year-old replacements that they could rework.
Hi, mate. What if you can help me? I'm looking on your eBay shop at the moment about a pair of K1100 RS forks. Have you still got them in stock? Yeah. What kind of condition are they? Oh, okay.
This wasn't proving easy. Neil googled and searched, and Jim waited.
It's 91 the year is.
And waited.
Okay. Well, look, I'm not really keen on buying them over eBay. Can I pop along and have a look at them? Because I just want to check that everything's okay before I pop my money.
And Jim's still waiting.
All right, great stuff. Can you, if I send you a quick email, can you respond to it with your address and stuff? Okay, great stuff. Thank you very much. Cheers, John. £20 for a set of forks.
Hello.
£6 for forks, mate.
Oh, brilliant. You got the right year?
Yeah, they're right here. I think one of us should go and look at them. I'm not convinced that they're as good as he says they are, so.
Well, the main thing is the stanchions. If the stanchions have got to be good, we can replace the seals. Are you going to nip over there and check them?
Yeah, I'll go over and have a look. So if I just check to make sure there's no pitting or any rust, any marks on the stanchions, we'll be fine. We'll replace the springs if we need to. Oil, seals, obviously.
Yeah.
It's only North Staff's about half an hour, right, something like that.
So if they're good, just get them.
All right,
Because I'll crack on with this, make sure these yokes are okay.
Okay, cool. Go, stuff.
All right.
I'll go. Sort it out.
It's into the van then, and off to see the first set of forks. But unfortunately, it seems disappointment awaits.
Yeah, we've just been to look at those forks that we saw on eBay, and unfortunately they're just not suitable. But that's the trouble with eBay, you know, you see things on the screen, you think, oh, that looks great. You talk to someone and they say, yeah, they're all fine, it's all good. And when you get there, invariably they're not. And unfortunately, these just aren't good enough. So you have to keep having a look and just hope we can find some fairly soon, because it's getting a little bit tight now. I think it's because they're so old and they don't have rubber gaiters on a standard, so they get stone chips and dusty chrome starts to pit in places. So it's just going to have to be a search until we find what we're looking for, really. We did think of going down the Oldings route to get some really nice forks for it, but that's just going to blow the budget. We've got a fairly tight budget to work to, so we've really got to go down the sort of standard BMW K100 forks, and we'll just refurb them, make them work all properly. I think that's probably the best route. I do think that once we do that, because you're taking all the weight off the bike, the forks might be a little bit oversprung possibly, but I don't know. We'll wait and see until we've got it done. Actually, I could give Marshall a call. I just remember a friend of mine, he broke a K100 a couple of years ago, I guess now. He managed to have some parts, so I'll give him a call and see if he's got anything.
Neil's like a dog with a bone. So having tracked down his old motocross mate Mossy, who dismantled the K100 several years back, Neil hot-foots it round to Mossy's engineering works. He's now got to hope that he's got the correct pair of forks, and if he has, will he want to sell them?
Oh, Marsh, you alright, mate? I'm in a bit of a pickle actually. I remember a while ago you had an old K100 and you were breaking one or two bits off it. You ain't got any bits left, have you?
Yeah, I've got a few bits and bobs.
Yeah, you ain't got any forks, have you?
I'm not too sure. So go and have a look. I've got a few bits and bobs.
If you wouldn't mind, yeah. I'm really,
just gonna have a look, mate.
I'm really just, that's the only bit I really need, mate, if I'm honest with you. So if you have, that'd be fantastic. Cheers, man. Any good, Moss? Alright, mate. You found some? Oh, okay. Do you know what they're off?
Not too sure what they are. Not too sure what these are. They're the forks, ain't they?
I thought I'm Moss.
They're on.
Yeah. It was star there.
I'm pretty sure they're the ones that they look like.
They're the right ones. Yeah. Pretty nice sailor. Do you want to sell them?
Yeah, can do, yeah.
No.
I don't think they're a lot good to me anyway, so.
What do you want from them?
What are they worth to you?
100 quid? 100 quid?
Yeah, that's not right.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah, sounds. All good. All good.
Oh, you're a lifesaver, aren't you? Absolute lifesaver.
Sounds. Sorted.
Lovely. Marshall, a star, mate.
No worries, mate. No worries. Anytime.
See you again. Cheers, mate. Thanks for the help.
No worries.
Ouch, he's had to pay 100 quid. 5 times the bargain price he'd seen on the internet. But Neil has at last captured a straight pair of the increasingly rare forks. Now it's a rapid drive back to the workshop, where Jim is presumably still practicing his golf swing, and ready to receive the missing parts and add them to the jigsaw puzzle that is the Beamer project. But will they pass his rigid inspection?
Jim!
Hello.
Got some forks, man.
Oh, great.
Stroke of luck if I'm honest with you.
Brilliant.
Yeah, well, I've got all that North Staffs at the scrapyard. When I got there, they're absolutely rubbish, man. It's terrible. Please, man. You guys?
Brilliant.
Yeah, they were crap. And I was driving back and I suddenly remembered, you know Mossy?
Yeah, yeah.
He broke it, he used to have a Cameron a couple of years ago, he broke it. And luckily, he had some forks.
And these are in pretty good condition.
Yeah, they're really good. Have you got, they're going to need servicing, you put seals in, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Have you got all the tools to hand to do it?
I think I've got the BMW service tool, BS1764. This should get it apart.
That'll do.
No, I don't want to see another one in bits ever. I mean, we were fortunate with that. There was literally just the forks that were missing and a few bits and bobs. But it's when you buy a basket full of bits, inevitably it's the major parts that you don't see. And you know, I've done basket cases where there's been a whole gearbox missing, and at the time I've not even noticed. And then you turn up and you start stripping it, and you start looking at it, and you think, Christ, where's the gearbox? And that's a major part missing. But with this, it was generally all there. And I just felt it was easy to work backwards on this particular bit.
Okay.
It's another day on the Beamer build, and now the frame is getting the chop.
Right, so if you're going to cut that off there, we need to cut, like you said, about 16, 17 inches off the frame, don't we?
But I've had a bit of an idea about the frame. What we can do, where we chop the frame, we normally put plugs in there.
Yeah.
But on this one, we're going to have to strengthen it anyway because that's where the shocks go.
Yeah,
So we're chopping the frame here. We need to put a strengthening piece across there like a truss. Leave them blank. Leave them open.
Leave them open.
And we can put the indicators on either side through the tube.
That'd be cool. That'd
Be a bit tricky.
Some LEDs or something.
Yeah,
like that.
these new LED indicators would be brilliant. If we put them in that way and just have them sticking out, because otherwise all we're going to be doing is blanking them off.
Yeah, and we just drill a small hole here.
Yeah, just feed a hole through and take it to
the wires will come out and come under the seat, wouldn't
Yeah.
they? Fantastic. Yeah, that's easy enough.
I think that'll look quite good.
Quite tricked out. We've not done that before, have we?
No. Cool. We'll do it on this one.
Okay, cool.
I think we need to start chopping bits off
hacking it
it.
up. Let's see where we go from there, yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. We can always weld it back on.
Using his favourite weapon, the angle grinder, Neil hacks off the excess German steel that he and Jim are sacrificing to turn this ugly duckling Beamer into something beautiful.
The favourite part for me is getting the whole bike as standard and then sort of chopping bits off and throwing them away, making new bits, cutting panels off, and I just love cutting things up and making it look as different as you possibly can. I just love it. I just love cutting things up. It's normally the rear of the frame is too long on pretty much every bike you see, so we just cut that off first and foremost. First, cut it off, throw it away, and then it gives you a much clearer image of what the bike's going to look like without the back end on it. So then I can decide what shape seat unit we're going to make for it. Is it going to be a high one, a low one, a fat one, a thin one? It's just, without an angle grind, it would make my life a lot harder.
This Beamer is going to look like a bike for the first time in years, as Jim and Neil assemble the best bits of the two wrecks to make one whole machine.
Do you think there's anything to do with that, Jim? Is it worth keeping that, or
No,
can we cut it or anything?
No, it's like Space 1999, isn't it? It's
It is a
awful.
bit shit.
I think this is where we should be going with just a standard round headlamp.
It's much better than that oval square
You
feet.
maybe put a peak on it. I'm not too sure about that.
What, it's a little,
A
little peak?
Little peak to go there. I don't know.
what, it's just small here or sort of wrap round to about here, do you think?
Right round to about there.
okay.
You
Okay.
see them on old British bikes from
Yeah.
years ago. Just a little peak. Do it in black.
It'll work with that mesh, won't it, as well?
I think it looks really good with
Good
that
call,
mesh.
that one, Jim. I really like that. Works well.
Yeah.
Works well. Okay.
I think that's so. If this is the starting point at the front, then I think it's a good point to start from.
Well, we can line everything through that then, can't we, as well?
Yeah.
Pick all the lines
I
up
think
with
so. I don't know about the clocks. I think they've just got to go.
that.
They're awful.
Well, we normally use the little round ones, don't we? Should we go for one of those as well?
The electronic one.
Yeah. Because it does it
And
all.
then that gets rid of the tacho, cleans all this mess up.
Yeah. Just one little round clock. Yeah, we could do that.
I think so. Hang on. Got it. Neil and I tend to bounce off each other, and Neil comes up with ideas, and I come up with ideas, and we work together pretty well. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here.
Because if we follow that line through, bring the back end up, kick it up. I know we don't normally do street fighters and kick the back end up, but I think because of this line on the bottom of the tank, we follow that through with the top of the seat.
Right.
Yeah, and bring it up. If we start with just that there.
Jim and I are fortunate enough that we can sort of see the lines of what it should look like, or what we think it should look like, and we just move things around until it's the right place. It's got to be the right size, the right height for the rider, the right length, and it's all just got to fit and look right, really. Jim can spot a mistake from 1,000 yards, if I'm honest with you. So he quite often comes to the workshop and I've done something, and I'm unsure if it's right, I'm not quite, is it this, is it that? And Jim will come along and simply say, all right, just move that a few millimetres, 1 inch or whatever. So we do, and most of the time he's right, and that happens the other way around occasionally.
We've got a natural cut-off point, which is, I always like to use the centre line of the rear spindle. So that's the natural cut-off point. We've got the top of the tank, which will take it to there, and that gives us the angle to come down here to get to that. So there's our triangle,
and that'll give it the right length in it as well.
Yeah, it'll shrink it and give it more of an aggressive feel.
I think we need to get the back wheel in, and we can just check that distance there, because at the minute I'm not sure if that's too high or whether it's too low. It looks about right at the bottom of the tank, Jim, but I think without the wheel in, we're going to struggle with that.
Traditionally, to do a bike up, people have just thrown stickers and chrome at it and heavy things. What we tend to do is just refine that so that you can't go to a shop and buy what we do. What we do is different. We do things our way, and hopefully the customer likes it, and we won't let it go until it is correct anyway. Whereas if you go to some specialists, their idea of customising a bike is basically just literally bolting rubbish to it.
Just put that on for now to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
See what you think of that or not. I think the lines are right. I think the angle's right with that.
I think the angle's right. I don't know about this bit. I think it might need to be higher.
You think
What
so?
do you think?
Yeah, maybe.
I know it looks pretty cool.
It does look pretty cool, but it's a bit angular in it. But this is an angular bike. It's all square and stuff. So I thought, maybe just try it and see.
Yeah.
But it is a bit flat track, isn't it, really?
Yeah,
it's not really sort of capital
It's not
racer,
BMW, is it? And I think it fans out too far here.
Okay.
I'd have it coming in a bit, because the tank does that. The tank comes in, so we can get this to come in as well.
Yeah.
We need to get the same height as well as the tank. But I don't want to tilt it like that, because that'll look down.
No, that looks stupid. Looks really flip. I think the line's right. That angle's definitely right, Jim.
Yeah.
But we still need this back wheel.
Yeah.
I'm still not happy doing this without the back wheel in place, I'm honest with you, but... Oh, okay. Should we try something else on there?
I think if we put a dome on the back, like this,
Yeah.
lower it down a touch, we'll still keep that line from the tank, but
Okay.
we'll also raise it a little bit at the back, and it'll give the whole bike's appearance more of a squat.
I think if we see this angle here, Jim, if we sort of mimic that a little bit.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
I think that is going to make a massive difference to us. I think the bike will it's got that more angular shape. By doing it that way, we can keep the tank, and the tank stays in one piece, which is a major issue on one of these bikes.
I personally think that the tank should stay now, because it's generic to that bike, and it makes the bike really distinguishable, really, as what it is. And it's also got the badge,
Yeah,
the
definitely.
disc set into the tank.
It'd be
So
a
I
shame
think
to change it.
So we keep the tank, and we just pick the back end up a little bit,
And we can still use the side panels, just alter them
just
slightly.
to modify them.
I think I've managed to get the CAD drawing as accurate as I could. That's around 11 inches, but that's got to be accurate.
Are you sure that's a CAD drawing, Jim?
That's a CAD drawing. CAD, as you know, stands for Cardboard Aided Design.
Oh, I didn't know that.
This is corrugated cardboard as well. It's good quality stuff, double corrugation for extra strength, and that works well in the computer.
Fantastic. That's about right then, yeah.
It's got to be about that much though, but it's got to be accurate. Let me just do it accurately. It's about that much, yeah. Yeah, about that much, that's fine.
When you're doing something as complicated as this, and you're making so many things, fabricating bits and pieces, you do start wondering, or you start believing, or you start realising that the way to go is to do what the Americans do, which is just bolt stuff on Harley Davidson's.
If I do that enough time, I think we'll cut through it.
It will definitely, it's like a trepanning tool.
Joking apart though, we made sort of 3 or 4 seat units for this. We took them on, we took them off, we cut them down, we added bits on until we ended with what we got.
That's probably not about 11 inches at the
I
moment.
think it's a bit short.
I think that's too long at the moment, but generally you can see from the drawing there that straight line is here.
Oh, I'm impressed with that CAD. That's really, really good stuff.
That there is here.
And as you can see, that sweeping bit is going to be there. So as you can, that is virtually finished.
I'm happy with that.
That's fantastic. Try and maintain this shape if we can.
Yeah.
Which should be relatively easy actually. We keep that straight, bring that down.
Just rock, yeah. Put slit it either side there,
And
roll it round.
A bit of a flat there. That'll do that.
It's Neil's favourite moment on any of the builds. He's making a new custom exhaust system for the bike.
Yeah, I've got a real thing for exhaust. You look at most motorcycles and the exhaust is just stuck up the side at 45 degrees, and I don't think anybody gives any consideration to where it would be. And in my opinion, when you see a bike, one of the first things I see is the exhaust. And I don't see why you would want to make one the same as everybody else's or just sort of plonked on the side of the bike. It's like it's an evil, a necessary evil. You've got to have exhaust, we're just going to put it there. Well, we don't do that. We like to sort of change the exhaust, make it completely different, and it's got to look like it's grown there.
You don't touch, you don't foul.
No. We've already made the silencer and got it all polished.
Yep. There is quite a science to make an exhaust. It's not just, it hasn't just got to look right, it's also got to work as well. So you need to know what size the primary lengths are going to be, what size tube you're going to be, inch and a quarter, inch and a half, inch and 3/8. It depends on what size engine you've got, it depends on what size pipe you need, what diameter and what length they are. So it's quite, they're not that difficult to make, but the science behind it is quite complicated. If you like to make them different, and why would you make them all the same? It's just, if you can make them different, so that's what we try and do.
We made a new exhaust from stainless steel, but I didn't want it to come up and cover where the back wheel is. So we've made a fancy one that comes under the bike, under the swing arm, under the clutch arm, and exit on the opposite side of the bike. So when you stand at the side of the bike and look at it, you really won't see an exhaust at all. You know, it's just nicely hidden. And the back wheel is just completely clean, and that's really important for a build like this.
The only other thing we're going to do, I think, is even though the exhaust is stainless steel, I think it sticks out too much, and I think it'd look better in black rather than polished stainless. Even though we've polished it,
it was worth polishing to see, wasn't it?
It was, but
it's easier to polish it now than paint it and then repolish it after. So I think now we polished it, it's a good base to paint it anyway.
Yeah.
You know, I don't mind leaving the end cap
Yeah.
polished on the other side. So the other side of the bike, all you're going to see is just the end cap. You know, because you're going to look at that. What I want is that you don't see the exhaust that's sucking at you.
I'm just going to make sure all the grease is off this, Jim, and that it's got a nice key for the paint to stick to.
Black's the latest colour. It's the new black.
Black's the new black.
To get that polished, if you polish that end, you get a better finish than if you get it on your hands.
Did you polish the end cap with it now?
Yeah. Well, you polish the end cap. You see, if you mask it, you get a line, and sometimes that can chip. Whereas you polish it, you get a smoother line.
Yeah, okay. Put it anyway. Do you think the exhaust looks better black?
Oh, it's infinitely better. It doesn't pop out at you like it did before. And even though it's stainless steel, and some people go, oh, it's stainless steel, it should be shiny, blah blah. At the end of the day, in matte black with just the end cap shiny, I just think it doesn't pop, but it's there. It's subtle.
You want to be able to see it,
Yeah.
but not all of it. I think the way it was before, it being shiny from the back of the bike.
It was just too much.
But all
Definitely too
your eye was just drawn
Yeah.
to the polished stainless steel, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it's definitely.
Which you
I'm
didn't
happy if we decide to paint it black. I'm
Yeah.
much more pleased with
Yeah, I think it looks really good.
Yeah. It's nice to have a bit of peace and quiet, isn't it?
I don't like the countryside. I think the problem with the countryside is it's all you hear is birds, bloody insects and animals barking and tweeting and quacking.
It's a little bit too quiet
It's
for
just
you.
too quiet. And leaves dropping. It's horrible.
Do you prefer the noise of the workshop?
Yeah.
You've had a bit of trouble with the nav, isn't it, about the noise? Remember that old boy that came out and complained when we was riding down the road?
He
One
just
day.
had nothing else to do.
I can't believe it. Get off the road, you can't ride. It's too much noise.
We weren't doing anything wrong other than making a noise.
Well, that's what it is, isn't it?
What's the point of having all this silence without noise? Because you don't get to hear the silence then, do you?
It's very true. I never thought that. I'm quite pleased with that exhaust on the BMW now. What do you think?
Well, I think it's good that we've not put baffle in and we've just put the perf, so it should be quite loud.
Make it loud. So.
And you know what they say?
Yep. And loud
pipes save lives.
lives. It's quite nice, isn't it, have you? A bit of lunch out here in the quiet.
It is, but then it gets ruined by bloody long boats coming up. They call them narrow boats.
You mean narrow boats?
No, they're long. You look at them. Is that short? No, it's long. Now there's two of them. What a racket. Polluting the atmosphere. And they're useless. they don't really do anything other than
Float.
nothing. Yeah, they just float and do nothing. Longboats. What's that all about?
It's just a key so that the paint sticks to it. That'll just peel off otherwise. Initially we sprayed it silver and it didn't work. I thought it would, I really wanted it to work, I like the silver idea. But when it was all together on the bike, it just looked plain, it didn't lift.
Well, it's too conservative, and that goes back to the original thing of design, making it stand out. Silver makes it blend in, and it's too safe. It's very, the whole German sort of ethos is it shouldn't really offend. Whereas this is quite offensive from a German perspective, but from our perspective, it pops out and it looks really right.
Yeah.
That's where you've got to go.
But you want it to pop in, there's no point otherwise. There's no point in having a custom bike built if it's just going to be parked at the side of the road and everyone's going to walk past it. Surely, if you're having a bespoke motorcycle, you want it, to stand out from the crowd, but you don't want it to look ridiculous. Because we've put these bars on, we've had to modify the whole of the top yoke. We had some parts machine to go in there because they've got risers on because the bars are up here. So that's all sorted out now. It's got a nice finish on there with that crinkle paint.
The crinkles are really good finish.
Yeah,
It is an old finish, but it's really good. But the thing I'm really impressed is that we've managed to stick with the original headlamp that we put on right at the very beginning, and it actually looks right.
It works.
We still need to put that peak on it, but ultimately it looks right.
Well, I'm not convinced about this peak until we've got the rest of the bike assembled, and then we can see, because at the minute it's just a bare frame, so we'll leave that until we've got the rest of the bike together, and then we'll see if the peak works or not. Yeah, I'm happy with that. We've still got to fit the clock as well on here somewhere, so I'm not sure whether to put the clock off to one side or have it smack in the middle. I think if you look at modern BMWs, all the lights are off to one side, aren't they? So maybe just, if we put the clock offset, sort of look with the tip of your head to the BMW thing, because they're offset, or would you prefer it in the centre?
I prefer offset.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see how it feels, but I think I prefer offset anyway.
Okay. Right, so this is where we are at the moment. We've modified all the frame. It's come out from powder coating. We've painted all the engine and got all that in. I'm really pleased with how this engine's come up, Jim, aren't you?
Yeah, it's really good. It's all the cables are in.
Yep.
Wiring's in place. Everything's there. Exhausts seem to be matching quite well.
Yep.
It's got the rear sets on.
Yep, they're really good. Radiator's all done.
Linkage works.
Forks are all painted and refurbed.
It's just a matter of putting the painted stuff on, and then that'll give us an idea of what the
It's
finished product's going to look like.
Yeah. Well, if we get the bodywork on it soon, and then we can see where we go. And that'll give us a first chance of what that colour will look like on it as well. Because I'm quite keen to see that. Push it forward. To the back. There you go.
Yeah, it's looking great already.
It's a lovely colour, isn't it?
Yeah.
The BMW is back on the bench again, but this time it's thrown off its dull German winter clothes and the boys can finally bolt on the freshly painted panels that are going to turn this ugly duckling into a beautiful swan. The custom seat is in place, the trick new stubby exhaust is bolted, the forks are rebuilt and it has new bars, headlights and brakes. Gone are the original fairing, clocks, electrics, lights, exhaust, subframe, indicators and top yoke. All have been binned as this flying brick becomes the most radical BMW never to roll off the Berlin production line. After weeks of hard graft, Boomer's Beamer is almost ready.
My only real problem with this bike at the minute, Jim, is the shape of these bars, but I've had to push them forward because when it's on full lock, I'm frightened of damaging the tank with a control, so we need to sort out something we can do with that.
Yeah, well we need to get these in the delta shape as opposed to this sort of T-bar shape, because when you're riding it, you're going to be riding it with your hands there, and it's on your thumbs and it wrecks. So the trick is to get them in, and also it's a better riding position because you're tucked in.
Yeah,
instead of being out here.
we push them out at the minute, Jim, because moving it around the workshop and stuff, I'm frightened of damaging the tank. So do you think we can drill and tap this block here?
Yeah.
And put a 6mm pin, say, either end of it. Yeah. Well, wind them in and wind them out. I mean, set that wherever we want then. So no matter what you do, you're not going to bash the bars on the tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, I think so. I tell you what.
Another half inch there, 12-13mm at most.
Right. Just undo these two, and I'll get these in a good riding position, and then we'll see where we're at.
Every bike is custom fitted to its owner. Boomer's Beamer is no exception. With such a radical makeover, Neil and Jim are keen to get maximum adjustment into the riding position without compromising safety and the all-important Cafe Racer look.
Oh, there's plenty of lock on that, Jim, at that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. No, that's fine.
Okay, so it is as simple then as just making a lock stop the bottom of there.
Yeah.
And that'll sort that out.
Yeah.
It's been a bit of a challenge, hasn't it?
It's been an incredible challenge because when you consider the Germans probably designed this bike on the same sort of premise that Russian shop putter ladies are really good looking. It's so ugly, Walt Disney couldn't draw it.
I think that's it.
Yeah, you're happy with those?
Yeah, they're perfect. Perfect. Yeah, you've just got to be so careful with the bar. If these bars touch the tank, it's when you go in slow, you have a problem. You're coming out of a car park, and all of a sudden you run out of lock, you fall off the thing, and you could break your bloody neck. He broke his neck, and I didn't break his neck, and vice versa. You didn't break my neck, did you?
No.
You could break my neck, but
we just found it strange actually. You hear all this sort of about the neck, you imagine they're going to be in a wheelchair, quadriplegic or paraplegic. For some reason we both not, we're fine, we're normal, we get about, we do our thing, don't we? We're
more or less. More or less. It's, ever since I've had my neck, ever since I've had my neck fixed, I've never looked back. We've both got the scars. Look.
If you look at that, it does look like a BMW car radiator, the sort of similar shape and everything else, like of an M3 or an E30 or an E36 or something. But there's not a great deal you can do with it because the radiator itself is bloody ugly, so you've got to keep it covered up with something. So what you do is we've turned it into a feature so it sort of stands out, and that doesn't make it quite so offensive on the eye. But I do think on this bike, with the width of it as well, and how wide the engine is, it works, don't you?
Well, that's the secret of a good design. You take something that doesn't work and you turn it into something that does work by actually making it bigger and better. So something like this looks bigger and better now because we're not trying to hide it in matte black, which is what most people would obviously do, thinking, oh well, it's a bit ugly, so we'll do it matte black. You don't do that. You just bring it out and turn it into a feature, and that's what sets the bike apart, or sets it off as well.
I think it does, but we've done it a few times. I mean, we did it brackets, hinges. Remember that seat we made? We made a seat unit, and Jim said, let's put that on a hinge. So I made this really small bloody hinge for it, trying to disguise it all, and Jim said, no,
well, let's make the hinge a part of the bike, so people will walk up and go, hey, what's that? Oh, it's a hinge, isn't that good? Rather than, oh, why have they hid it there? Oh, it looks a bit... So the secret is just to turn a problem into a feature, which is what we've done with this, really.
And it just, for some reason, I don't know how it works or why it works, it does. It just stops them looking ugly, doesn't it? It just draws your eye to it rather than drawing your eye away from it.
Jim's pet hate is trailing wires, so at the start of the build he had the bright idea of concealing the cables and the rear turn signals in the open ends of the cut-off frame tubes. It wasn't easy, but life never is. Now all that's left is to check that the rest of the electrics are working.
Okay, hang on.
You've got the screws level as well, like we do.
Yeah.
Just try and see if it works. Make sure you've got brake lights, everything works.
Yeah. Go on. Yeah.
The back part working?
Yeah.
Right, well.
Yeah.
That's it all good.
Yeah. Just try the indicators.
Well, that's the third set of lights we put on this, don't you?
I think it's worth it. It's been worth it though, because the original ones, I just thought they were too much. They look fantastic.
Modern LEDs didn't really lean itself to it, did it?
No. And they look sweet.
Back on working on.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's good. Now, I think we're ready to roll with that. Road test it to see what else there is. We get off the ramp and I'll go and get my kit on.
Right.
This is the big moment! The project is fired up and running, so it's on with the leathers and out on the road.
How did it go?
Yeah, it's alright. I'm not sure if the clutch is slipping or what, but it just feels a little bit as if it is slipping a little tiny bit, but it might be because of what it is. It's not really a bike engine, so it's super smooth. So if we could just tweak the clutch a little bit and we just try it again and see if that makes any difference or not, but I'm not sure it will.
No, it probably won't, because it'll be slow anyway, this bike.
Yeah,
it's more of a tourer
it is,
than,
yeah,
than a sports bike.
But everything else feels really nice. The brakes are good, suspension's good, always a little bit soft maybe at the front, but it's what it is.
Yeah, a bit vague.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with it. It is a little bit vague,
Yeah, I
but
noticed that.
yeah, can we just adjust that clutch, see if we can sort it out? Just have a little tweak.
The clutch can't be solved roadside, and after a further ride, the problem persists.
Right, so Neil's come back saying the clutch is slipping a little bit, but now it's bedded in a little bit. I don't think there's much free play in that clutch cable, so I'm just going to back it off a little bit, and that should give a bit more free play. Let's just check down here. No, everything's fine there. Yeah, there's enough free play in that. Yeah, I think it was just the cable was probably a little tight, that's all.
So Neil is back on the road for a final test ride before unveiling the bike to its proud owner.
How'd it go?
It's good. It's good. I'm really pleased with that. I think that little thing with the clutch is all sorted. There's no more slip. It just feels that little bit tighter now, so it just picks up a bit better. I'm really pleased. I think we've done with that actually, John. I think it's good. I think it's ready to go.
There's hardly anything that I can see that's wrong with it.
No, I think we've done now. That it rides as it should. Everything works like it should. Brakes, gears, clutch, lights, horn, indicators, everything. It's cool. I think we're ready for just.
How's the front end?
It's a bit soft for me, but it's good. It's what it is. It's what it is. No, I'm really pleased with Jim. I think we're done. Good. I think we just give it a clean now, get it valeted. Get it sorted before Tony gets here. We're done.
Right, that's great. Well, I think that's a job well done then.
Yeah, I'm pleased with that.
All right, matey. How are you?
Yeah, good. What brings you in?
Welcome to see how you do.
Well, you've done it. It's finished.
What do you think?
I need to look around. Oh. Yeah. Better than I thought it would turn out. That's brilliant. Thank you very much. Nice one.
Do you want to hear it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's just turned out so nice, better than I thought it would do. What started off as a joke has now suddenly ended up, it's there, standing over there, and I'm going to get out to ride it. Absolutely love it. Sounds awesome.
From a practical joke to an actual bike, we thought in the end we decided that we could probably do it. And I think, you know, with a bit of hindsight, I still wouldn't have done it because it's taken a hell of a long time. But the fruits of our labour have really, basically, are behind us.
I'm
I
really
think
pleased.
we've done a great job.
But initially, I mean, Jim was sort of against it really. And if I'm honest to myself and everybody else, I was, but I couldn't say that at the time because we needed the work, you know. And we do like a challenge, but I did think initially
it was beyond a challenge, wasn't it?
It was much more than we could. You know, there was just too much to do.
I think it's a job well done, isn't it?
I'm really pleased with that. I think from what it was, the ugliest thing, I don't think it's ugly at all now. I think it all works.
It looks sharp.
It does.
And it's normally a job's a job, but this one's been a bit of a pain. And to be honest, it's worked out better than both of us thought. The end result's brilliant. It's a semi-clad supermodel now, as opposed to a Russian shot putter.